Okay, I'm going to show you the magic colored pencil technique. The main supplies that you need are Beckett Expression cardstock. I use Radiance, that's the color. It's 80-pound cover. You can get that at marcopaper.com. It's a fantastic paper for this technique. It is super smooth, takes the print of the rubber stamp design beautifully, and then when you use the Prismacolors on there with the Gamsol, it just makes that color liquefy and flow right along. The reason I have this bunny partially colored in is because I broke the lead on the pencil, so we started over. What I've done here is started with this beige sienna, number 1080 Prismacolor, and I'm filling in a fairly heavy line around the design on the inside. And I'm not being very careful here because I'm going to blend the color later. But what I'm doing is something that I call reverse shading. And you're creating the darkest value of the color first. When you get your Gamsol and on your Q-tip, you'll pull the color into the middle of the design with that Q-tip. So I've got that all done. And now I started with telling everybody to get blending stumps and tortillas and all that. You can get that if you want. Those are art quality products that are sold in art stores. I have decided to use the Q-tip because I teach a lot of classes and it's quite expensive for me to have all those supplies for everybody. This is an inexpensive Q-tip that I found locally. It's got a wood stem, which I like because it keeps it more firm, and the head, the cotton ball on the end is very tight. If you can find a Q-tip that is that way and doesn't pop open when you get ready to use it, then you've got a real nice product to use. So what you do with your Gamsol soaked Q-tip is take that Q-tip and you're going to touch that Q-tip along the coloring edge and pull the color in with little circles. Go around the outside edge that you just created with the color and pull the color in somewhat. You don't want to overblend. You don't want to take that light brown color and pull that all the way on the bunny's ear because it will soften the color too much and make that less contrasting, and that's what you want. I'm going around the shape with little circles, pulling the color. And when you touch that Q-tip to the Gamsol, it will liquefy that color and allow that to flow nicely. Go around the outside edge. And I'm leaving parts of the bunny white. The white of the paper is going to create the lightest value of the shading. This will, not only that, but it makes the process go a lot faster. See, I'm not being super careful here. I'm just moving along and pulling the color toward the center. I'll go up to the ear here. More Gamsol. You can tell when your Gamsol is running out, it starts to drag and it doesn't flow very well. Pulling the color in, going around the cheek and to the top of the head. I'll probably need to add a little more color right there. Okay. Now, the next thing you'll do is the nose. And I use a couple of different pencil companies. Prang is the second choice that I have. For those of you who don't want to invest in an expensive set of Prismacolors, Prang is a nice substitute. It's a little harder lead. The pigment is nice. It's not as waxy, but it works fine. They sell them at Hobby Lobby and I believe Joann's. Color that in. Take another Q-tip with your Gamsol and basically you're going to soften the color and take the pencil lines out. And then what I'll do next is I'll take this color again, and because it's got a little bit of Gamsol on it, it takes that color nicer and makes it a little smoother. Color a little more in there. Same Q-tip and dab that line so that it's not as distinctive. Sometimes I'll even use a third color and create a little darker shade. I did color that in a little bit too much, but you could put glitter on the nose later and then it'll be fine. Okay, the Rose Prang pencil again in the ear. Color that in fairly prettily. And then with your Q-tip and Gamsol, soften that line up. You can do a little bit of that too. Okay, now I'll show you a little trick with the cheeks. Because you've got some color accumulated on the Q-tip from the Rose Prang pencil, take the Q-tip and rub it onto the pencil tip, and that accumulates some color. And then dab off a little bit to make sure it's not too strong. And then you can go in and use that on your cheeks. This will soften the cheeks a little bit. It won't make them look so harsh. And you can even darken them up by tapping if the color isn't going into the paper as you'd like it to. Also, I'll take a little bit of pink and put it in the tummy area. I think the secret is to kind of repeat your colors. A lot of times people are saying to me, the printed paper matches so well, oftentimes I'll pick the paper after I colored in the image. So I'll repeat the colors. I'll take the colors from the image that I've colored and repeat them in the bow, the ribbon, the buttons, the paper, and keep it within a 3 to 4 color palette. That way your eye isn't all over the place. You're not trying to figure out what the color families that you're trying to work with, and it's a lot more pleasing that way, and you've got a nice little image that really is quite nice to see. Okay, I'm going to do, oh my goodness with these pencils, I'm going to do the grass now with apple green. This is 912, apple green all the way on that grassy area, and then underneath him too. This will help create something, a platform for him to sit on, and it will look like he's floating in the air. Okay, Q-tip, Gamsol, and just blend that around a little bit. The grass is not a priority, so that isn't something you have to mess with it too much. And just pull the color away from the bunny, making sure that you don't touch the green to the brown, because that will pick up the color from the brown and pull it into the green, and that's not what you want. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to show you is called haloing, and I'm using powder blue 1087. What I like to do on these images is create a little halo around them, because it pulls your eye toward the image and it helps to keep your eye centered. And this color is very light, and the application that I'm giving this is quite heavy and thick, so it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. Apply that fairly thickly, and you want to have no space between the bunny and the shadowing, or the haloing. Make sure that that's nice and solid all the way around. There's no white space, because it looks like it's detached if you do that. Okay, bring that all the way around, and then with another Q-tip, soak this fairly well, because you want to pull the color out quite far. I'm not going to touch the black line. I'm going to get up to as close as I can without touching it. In a little circular motion, I'm going to pull the color out into the cardstock. This will erase the pencil line and soften it and pull it into the white area so that it looks like it's shadowed or shaded. Go all the way around, pulling the color out. Another color that I use is a real pale yellow, pale gray, pale pink, lavender, depending on what you're coloring. It just gives, and look at the samples that I've done, and it just gives you a nice soft glow around it. You can always also take a color called blue slate, and a lot of the times the artist will give you shading dots or accent dots. This is blue slate that I'm coloring into these little accent areas. These help to punctuate the shading. The same Q-tip, and just soften those up. Just gives it a little extra pop. One more tip, the Micron pen is archival, permanent. I will use that quite often on details that I might have covered up with the pencil. Would be in particular in this case the eyes or something. Sometimes when you're coloring you get a little bit of clouding take place with some of the detail. If you can't erase it, then you can go over it with a nice permanent black pen. Okay, that's it. This is a really simple technique. I often will use Stickles glitter glue. A little bit of touch on the nose is kind of nice, or wherever you might want to have some glitter. Don't over glitter, because it tends to look like it's over glittered too much. Just a little touch of glitter here and there, and it makes a cute little design. You can coordinate those with your paper and your ribbons.